Welcome to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger. Badass Direct Sales Mastery is a podcast for rock star direct sales moms who are determined to make their business kick ass. Jennie will share her knowledge of effective sales and recruiting techniques, tips to get what you want from your business, and will interview direct sales professionals and leaders from various companies. The interviews will give insight to how these rock stars got to where they are and where they plan to grow in the future. And now, the direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger.
Welcome back to another episode of Badass Direct Sales Mastery. I am your host, your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger, helping you whip your business into shape. And today I have with me Deanna Scaldaferri, and she is a licensed massage and bodywork therapist, Usui Holy Fire 3 Reiki master. I can't wait to find out what some of those things mean. Intuitive life coach and public speaker. Her passion is helping people grow on their life's journey and spiritual path to find healing, balance, health, love, and happiness. She approaches every person with a total mind, body, spirit mindset and caters to each person individually. Deanna offers holistic healing tools to get to the root cause of people's blockages in their lives that keep them from moving forward. She helps them reconnect with themselves, build a sense of empowerment, and heal from the inside out. Deanna, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jennie. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh my gosh. I have been looking forward to this conversation because,
Me too.
I'm someone who has in 20 years gone from complete skeptic to totally fascinated with all things energetic, frequency, vibration.
Yes.
I'm a level 1 Reiki mostly just to, work on myself. So I love getting to talk to people about these things and help introduce some of these ideas to people who aren't necessarily looking at life through this lens, and they're confused as to why they're not moving forward. So I'm so glad you're here.
Yes,
So
absolutely. Well, I have to say, everyone starts by being a skeptic, and I was there myself as well. No, I mean that.
Yeah, I believe it. So because especially here in North America, United States, we start out with this very, I guess white bread, I don't know, upbringing. And usually, some sort of religion is associated with it.
Mhm.
And, schooling has us
Sure.
very conditioned to do things. So
Yes.
what was your journey from skeptic to believer? How'd you get to where you are
Oh
today?
gosh, my favorite thing to talk about is energy. So at this point, how much time do you have, Jennie? I could talk for days. But yeah, no, in all seriousness, I do believe that everyone starts there, at least, again, as an adult. You're right. We are conditioned to believe in the black and white and what we can only believe in the things that you can see, right? But there is so much more under the surface on an energetic level and spiritual level. As for me personally, yes, I just, I've always been faithful, as far as religion, believing in God and a higher power. However, as far as getting into energy work, I think a lot of things, everything in hindsight, right? A lot of things in my life, I can now look back and say, oh, that makes sense now energetically, but I didn't realize it at the time. And I'm sure, speaking to you in the audience, I'm sure that many people have had this experience before where you meet someone new and you either hit it off the bat, like right away, an instant connection. You're like, oh my gosh, friends for life. I feel like I've known you forever, right? That's energy, right? That's kindred spirits. I mean, there's soul connections, whether not just romantically, but friends, right?
Right.
Or the opposite is true. Maybe you meet someone new and you're like, ooh, you walk away and you're like, I don't know what it is, but like, I don't get a good vibe about that person, right?
Yeah.
So that's energy right there. Or another example I like to use, if you're thinking about a friend that you haven't talked to in a while and you keep thinking it in your brain, or maybe you say it out loud and say, I haven't talked to Susie in a long time. I really got to check in with Susie. Oh, I really need to find time to call Susie. And then suddenly Susie calls you or texts you, right? And you're like, oh, that's really weird. That's strange, right? That's energy. You put it out into the universe that you wanted to connect, and she got it vibrationally, right? Frequency wise, and reached out to you. So again, like these are like simple examples of just that there's energy all around us. There's energy inside of us. There's energy. What about even going to a city? You go to visit a new city, and a lot of times you're like, oh, I like the vibe of this city. Like this city feels really cool, right? That's again all energy. But those are things that I experienced for my whole life, just never really put it together. And it wasn't until for me, as far as my journey, massage is what brought me into energy
Mm,
healing. So second career for me, I was a long time ago, a different lifetime. I say I started out in business and corporate environment. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I was like, oh, I'm good at math. I'll just, like work in finance type of thing. But I always kind of knew like it wasn't truly who I was. I never felt like, oh, this is me type of thing. So then I had three children who are my life and was lucky enough to be home and raise them. And then when it was time to go back to work, I was like, I don't want to go back into, a financial or corporate setting. I need to really find out who I am. Like, what do I want to be when I grow up type of thing. Right. So I did a lot of soul searching at that point and I landed on massage because I've always enjoyed receiving massage. I've always enjoyed the benefits and just how relaxing and all the things, the body work. So when I was in massage school, that was my very first experience with energy work of any type. It actually opened me up to many things, meditation, breath work. That was my first
mm.
experience in my life with those kind of unseen things, right? And I was fascinated by them. Fascinated. The energy component. I didn't learn, we didn't learn Reiki per se, but we learned a form of energy healing. And that was immediately what I gravitated towards. And I believe that with anything in life, like if something draws you, there's a reason, right? There's a reason that you're feeling like nudged towards that. So once I graduated and got my massage license and started practicing massage, again, all the signs were there. It's like people, whether a client or a person I worked with, would say, Deanna, do you do Reiki? Like, do you practice Reiki? And at the time, honestly, Jenny, I didn't even know what Reiki was. And I was like, and I'm serious. And I'm
Right.
like, why do people keep asking me this? Like, I don't do Reiki. I don't even know what it is. So finally I was like, well, maybe I should investigate, right? And figure out why do people keep saying this? Because people felt that same like calming energy. Now I understand why they were asking me that.
Yeah.
So at some point, after enough of those nudges, I was like, I'm going to roll in the Reiki 1 and 2 class and just see what this is about. And honestly, Jenny, from that point, it opened my world in such a new way. And I say it this way, it changed my life forever, personally and professionally. And I never had any inkling that it would have done that. It's almost like it cracked me open spiritually, even just discovering myself of who I am, where I realized, you know what? All of these things that I know about myself, that I'm empathetic and sensitive, and things that were honestly kind of put down in my childhood and even into my 20s and 30s, that I was too sensitive and put in a negative connotation, that I realized, oh my Lord, this is my superpower. Like, this is
Yes.
actually how I can help people when I tap into that energy frequency, because I have that natural ability. And now with training, right, it opened up my eyes in so many ways. That's why I love to share Reiki. I love to practice it. I love to talk about it. I love to do it for myself, my kids, my family, because I am now so aware of the benefits. But I will say, just sorry, and close that loop on the skeptic piece,
Hmm.
is that when I first started practicing Reiki, we were advised to practice on your friends, practice on your family, practice on you. There of course was this skepticism, like, is this, like, I believe this, but like, is this really working? Is there really something, and so I feel like it was probably a good year of that, like sitting in that space, like I believed that there was healing to it, but it was almost like when I worked on someone, a friend or a family member, I was in awe and I was like, wait, is this actually doing something? Like, I can't believe this.
Yeah.
So I think there was about a year of that space. And I told myself I wouldn't go back for my Reiki master until I felt like I was really, on 100% on board type of thing. And honestly, the stories that even just in 7 years that I've been doing Reiki, I'm blown away. And so it was almost like with anything, right? When you have more and more evidence, it was like this happened. And oh my gosh, this helped this person. And wow, this helped. It was like at some point it was undeniable, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is real. There is something to this, and I want to be a part of it.
Yeah. No, and I think it's so interesting to, as we compare that to all of our own journeys of going through from, where we hadn't heard of something, didn't know what it was, what the heck is this, whatever,
Yes.
right? And because I know the first time I ever heard of Reiki, I went to, it was a yoga class where the yoga teacher was also trained in Reiki, and she offered Reiki at the end of the yoga class. So,
Okay.
we did our yoga thing, and then it was,
Right.
skeleton pose, corpse pose, whatever, laying down on the ground. And she went around and did her Reiki thing. And I'm sitting there going, I had my eyes closed. So no idea what's going on. And I'm like, what the hell is
Right. What's happening? What's
it's like,
happening?
what do
It
you- but
peak.
I'm like, okay, we'll just see.
Right.
Because she didn't even explain it. I think she just assumed if you're here, you wanted it, you knew what it
Yeah.
was.
Right. That's fair. That's fair. And
you
you're
know?
like opening one eye, like, what's going on out there? Right. Right.
Right, exactly. So, it's super interesting to see, at least from my own journey and how it relates to yours,
Yes.
going from not knowing what it is to suddenly going, okay, let me explore this, let me see this. And
Yes.
the things that just my own experience when I went through my attunement,
Mhm.
and holy crap, that was amazing. Like
Yes.
it
Yes.
I really feel like that opened me up
Yes.
to the things I needed to heal, the
Yeah.
things that where I was blocking myself,
Yes. For sure.
big time. So, as you've been going through this with people, what have you found with some of your clients around because you said, I read out in your bio about the root cause of people's
Yeah.
blockages, right?
Sure.
So, how is it that you now do you incorporate Reiki as part of that, or is that more of the life coaching side? How do or is it a little of both?
It's always a little bit of everything, right?
Right.
No, it's definitely the Reiki energy healing is a big piece of that, of getting to the root cause. And I'll explain. So, again, as a massage therapist, everyone knows what massage is, right? So, that's
Right.
something tangible and that's
Mhm.
something that people know, right? So, that's fine. The Reiki piece, a lot of people either know about it, don't know about it, curious, not curious, fine. But a lot of times, what I started to see what was happening is that a client would come for massage, right? And they would book a massage and they'd say, I have this chronic pain somewhere in their body, and they don't know why. They've been to doctors, they've done testing, they've, been to every
Mm.
specialist. And, on paper, everything is fine, but yet they still have this pain and something is still not okay. And so I started seeing this pattern, right? And it was like, okay, so that from that point, I would then start to dive in a little deeper. I'm massaging them, but I'm asking them questions, which is part of the coaching as you're on the table. And that's why it all kind of blends together, where it's
Right.
like, okay, well, what else is going on in your life? What kind of stressors do you have? This, that. And then suddenly it's like, they start to open up. Oh, well, my son has an autoimmune disease and I'm really stressed about that. And oh, work is really stressful. And oh, I have a terrible boss, this, that. Like, so they start like unraveling all of these different things in their life that are causing stress that of course attack, the nervous system, the cortisol levels, the hormones, all of those things. But in their mind, they're like, no, but I don't, everything's fine. Right. But
Yeah.
it's not. Right. Right.
Right.
Because sadly, and I say this a lot, sadly, we live in a world where we've become, it's just so modern and busy and noisy that we've become almost immune to a lot of that pain. Like that's just normal. That's stress. We all have stress, but that's just normal, right? But it really shouldn't be, right? And so
Yeah.
those things, because we just, think, oh, that's okay, it weighs on us and it compounds on us. So at some point, and this is what I speak to a lot, like pain in your body, unless it's because you had an injury or an accident, it is your body's way of communicating with you. It is your body's way of saying, hey, remember me? Like something's not okay. Something's not in alignment here. So with a chronic pain and you don't know why, there is something underlying that you need to understand. And now I speak a lot about the mind, body, spirit, but really the four components of our bodies. It's our physical, our mental, emotional, and spiritual. And we need to nurture all four. So you can say, like, I don't know what's going on. I'm having this physical pain. Okay, well, how are you doing mentally? How's your mental health? What about emotional? Like what's weighing on your heart? Spiritually, where are you in your faith, right? Like, so I feel like I kind of help people. I look at it that I help people dive in and really ask themselves those questions. I'm not providing answers. I'm holding the space for them to connect with themselves, within themselves, to a deeper place of whether their spirit, right, their heart, of like, yeah, what is going on? Like, what is going on? So I help people in that sense. Oh, then a lot of times what happens is people say, oh, yeah, like I've planted some seed, right? Which is my intention, right? Plant a seed that there's something else going on in your world that you really need to try to figure out. And then a lot of times people say, well, oh, okay, I know you do Reiki. What else? What is Reiki. And so now we talk about Reiki. And I say, I know Reiki can do no harm. It can only help. So then I offer that. And again, I never pressure, I never push. I say, listen, I know that Reiki can help whether you're trying to clear something, release something out of your body, some sort of stress, emotion, this, or maybe you're looking for clarity of next steps in your life and you're not sure what to do and you have indecision. Well, Reiki can help with that as well, right? Maybe you're just feeling like exhausted and you need some like actual relaxation, and Reiki is deeply calming to the nervous system. So
Yeah.
again, I plant those seeds. And oftentimes what happens, Jenny, is that people, again, I believe people are craving healing in their lives in many different ways. And people, when they're forced to a place where they're in pain or don't know what to do, they often will try something that they've never tried before. And maybe in a normal circumstance, they'd say, I don't know what Reiki is. I'm going to leave it at that. But when people are in a space that like they're searching for help and needing something, they're going to try it. And so a lot of times then people will say, yeah, let me book a Reiki session. We come back, that cracks them open in a whole new way. And it's a process, again, that, and I speak about that. Like I knew it happened for me. It's a cracking open. So now what?
Yeah.
You've got a choice, right? You want to continue going down this road to really try to get to the root causes of some of the issues in your life that you're feeling. You've got the option to shut it down at that point too and say, you know what? This is too scary. This is too hard. I'm not going to do it. And I honor and respect everybody's decision. But I feel like that is kind of how I help people get to the root cause of things that are going on in their body and their life.
Yeah, I would say that was definitely my experience. I went through my attunement. I had an experience during the attunement, but
Yes.
then it was the 21 days of Reiki work. Literally, the first day I did the Reiki work on myself, I forgot to do it in the morning because, new habit,
Yeah,
you know.
sure.
So I was like, okay, well, I'll do it later, when I have a break. And I had a break in the middle of the day. So I was like, okay, I'll have some lunch and then I'll Reiki myself.
Right.
I did it and it opened up. Like I feel like it was my heart chakra because it was when we were working on that region,
Mm-hmm.
and it was all of a sudden like, "Oh, you've got some stuff to deal with, girl."
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I ended up having to cancel. And I don't say this to scare anyone because I obviously needed to go through
Yes.
this.
Yes.
But I ended up canceling the rest of my appointments for the rest of the day and, called my fiancé who had also gotten Reiki trained and, at the same time, I was like, "Baby, I need you to come home and do Reiki on me because I can't do it on myself. I'm too emotional."
Yes, yes, absolutely.
You
It is
know?
a cracking wide open. You bring up a great point, Jenny, in that again, everyone is different and everyone's individual. I feel
Mhm.
there has to be a readiness there because
Yeah.
I say that, Reiki can help anyone, but the more open you are to the experience, the more benefit you're going to get out of it. And people, I think, can be scared by that. Like, oh, I'm going to have a session and I don't know what's going to happen. And then I'm going to be down for the count and I can't work and I can't, that's not necessarily the case. It depends
Yeah.
on what's going on. Now, does that happen to some people? Absolutely. If they're carrying
Yeah.
some really heavy, intense stuff, right? It does, and so I always, of course, I set the intention of healing in a manageable place. Like, so we don't want a healing. I'm not looking for a healing crisis, but sometimes it does happen. And that's a sign right there of like what's going on in your world. Like there's a lot of things happening. But I think that scare tactic, that scare piece, it does make people say, well, I don't know what this is and I don't want to experience that. I've had people tell me I'm
Yeah.
going on a flight in a couple days, so I don't want to do Reiki because I know that it's going to like open things up and like so, and I respect that, but
Yeah.
I feel like it's just again it's a readiness. It's if you're like it
Yeah.
sounds like in your situation, of course you went to the class, you were attuned, you were ready for it. It's similar to my experience. And then that's where the beauty lies because, yes, is it hard? Healing is hard, my friends. Okay.
Yeah.
Healing is hard. And that's why a lot of people try to avoid it and we try to get around it and we try to like do anything but at the same time, I talk all the time that the only way through pain is through, right? You can't
Yeah.
get around it. You can't get around it. And you can delay it, you can avoid it, but at some point it's there, right?
Yeah.
So do you want to deal with it? And look, I respect everyone. Some people go throughout their whole life and they don't want to deal with it, and that's okay. That's their choice. But if anyone, I love when people come to me ready. Like I'm in a place in my life and I get that all the time. Like I've had some spiritual awakening. I'm tired of dealing with this pain. I'm tired of this relationship. Like I'm ready. Those are the people I love, 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 love to help because they are
Yeah.
100% in. And it's again, I can help anybody, but those people there, and I was that person. And that maybe that also it's relatable. I was that person. I reached a point in my life that
Yeah.
was just whatever was happening in my life, it wasn't working anymore and I needed change. And that's why, again, I was so open to that experience. For me, it's interesting you say
Right.
about your heart chakra, Jenny. For me, when I was attuned for my Reiki 1 and 2, it was my throat. I was
Mm.
coughing the entire week after that, like coughing to the point where I thought I had like bronchitis, like not just like a little, like
Yeah.
really coughing. And then again, was putting it all together. I didn't know it was my throat chakra because I was not
Mm.
speaking my voice. I was not living in my truth. I was not speaking it. And I knew it. I knew it. But it was like that was where it presented for me immediately about like again, like speaking who I am,
Yeah.
living my truth and speaking up, really. My voice has been a very big symbol in a lot of the things, well, a lot of the things that I do, and hence then into the public speaking. But it was because I was quieted. My voice was quieted for way too many years of my life. And so it was interesting that that was for me when I started in Reiki, it went directly to my throat. Right?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I want to bring up the fact that to reiterate what you were saying, not everybody has some big massive thing. For me,
Right.
I did because I needed it, but my fiance didn't have a thing. I had
Mm-hmm.
a girlfriend who went through the class with us. She didn't have some big
Right.
whatever.
Right.
She just felt more aligned. And
Yes.
because but she's been doing the work for a long time.
Yeah.
She was very familiar with Reiki and had been working with Reiki
Yes.
masters for years. She lived out in California for a number of years. So she was
Okay.
introduced to it much sooner than I
Sure.
was being here in the
Sure.
Midwest.
Right.
you know.
Right.
So
That's fair.
I just but I'm also open to sharing my experience with it because one of the things that I always have felt about being the host of this show is if I'm saying, "Hey, I'm presenting this person, my guest to you as a potential somebody who can help you
Yeah.
get to the next level in whatever business, personal growth, whatever it is." I want to be able to say, I've had that experience, maybe not with them, right? Because
Right. Right.
you and I haven't done Reiki together, right? But
Right.
I've been through the process and yeah, it wasn't fun to have a super emotional,
Sure.
afternoon, but
Sure.
it was super healing and coming out on the other side.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
ever since then, so that was September of 2024,
Okay.
I think was when we did that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, ever since then, all of my life has been completely getting into line.
Yeah.
Things are getting easier. Relationships are getting easier. Yes, there's still occasional little stumbling blocks, and then I
Sure.
know to just do the thing. So
Sure.
for you, what would you say is one of your favorite stories about someone you've done some work with in where were they beforehand, and you don't have to give away any
Yeah.
private,
No, of
obviously
course
private
not.
information, but
Sure.
where were they when they started working with you, and where are they, or where were they when they either completed their work with you, or are they still working with you? And
Yeah. Yeah. No, well, so many different ones are just like coming into mind. I do just want to just note something that to
Mhm.
again close the loop on what you were saying though about you're absolutely right that it's not, of course it's not to scare anyone that every time you come it's this big emotional release because it's not. And even the same person can come back several times and even within a short time frame and it's a very different experience each time. But it's also that yes, if you don't have anything super heavy weighing on you in your life, then it's just very deeply relaxed. Reiki is very deeply relaxing to the nervous
Yeah.
system, very calming. And it's just a beautiful, still space that we don't often give ourselves. So, yes, I do just want to say that on that other side, that it's not like, oh, you have to have some major crisis going on in your life to be able to receive Reiki. It's calming. And there's many benefits on a body level regardless. So that's a great, I just wanted to note that. As far as yes, I mean, I feel like I've had so many beautiful, beautiful stories over the years with clients that have just been so beautiful to witness. Like I honestly, I say this all the time to people in our private sessions. I'm just always honored and humbled to be able to hold that space for people because it's such a beautiful, sacred space for healing, and I truly mean that from my heart. It's not like, oh yeah, my job, I got to help somebody. Like that's not how I feel. Like I'm there on a very deep level with people, and it also, people I feel trusted, right? People allow themselves to be vulnerable with me, and I don't take that lightly at all. So it's a beautiful thing to witness and hold that space. There's one specific, well, again, there's many, but one specific that's jumping out at me is a woman who had never had any Reiki done before. She'd had massage, but never any energy work. So same thing, kind of skeptic of it, right? But then her dad suddenly passed away, like had an instant heart attack here today, gone tomorrow, type of
Mm.
thing. And she was, of course, distraught, completely, distraught in grief and just like drowning in grief. And so this was still early on in my Reiki. I wasn't a Reiki master yet. So I was still kind of practicing per se. And so I said, well, let's try some Reiki. Because again, at the core of it, I know that it can help. I know that. So when I see someone who's struggling in any way, shape, or form, I want to be able to help. So I instantly did some Reiki on her heart chakra, right? The heart is all about love and grief, love and pain, love and joy, right? All of those things. It's the dichotomy of those big, big emotions. The more, and it's
Yeah.
directly related, the more you love someone, the more you grieve when they're no longer in your life. So anyone who loses someone, whether, a passing or loses a relationship in a divorce, a breakup, that kind of thing, or friendship, instantly I know their heart chakra is going to need some love because there is a lot of stuck energy there that needs to move. So I did some Reiki on her heart chakra, and a lot of times this is where it's like you're never going to know how it affects someone, right? You know that there's the intention to help and it's going to, but how it actually unfolds is a mystery. So the next day she, came to me and said like I feel awful. Like I feel absolutely awful. Like I was, nauseous last night. I felt so sick. Like I just terrible. I couldn't sleep. Now I'm thinking, oh my goodness, like what did I do? Like, because again, there was, that those early stages, again, I'm have the intention to help, but I'm like, that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to hurt you, right? So I said, okay, well, I also knew though, that of course, like energy moves, it flows. So you need to allow it, like after you've had a Reiki session, you need to allow that to integrate into your body. It takes a few days, right? Which is why I also recommend to support by drinking extra water, which helps with the
Mhm.
movement of the energy. Support yourself with sleep, rest, an Epsom salt bath. There's lots of things you can do to support yourself as you're working through that. So, but again, I didn't know a lot of that at that time. So I was nervous. I'm like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen here? Well, then what happens the next day, right? Was a completely different story. She tells me that she felt as though like she had, it was almost like that you have, sometimes things have to get worse before they get better type of
Yep.
thing. We know that in a lot of things in life. Well, it got worse because she felt awful that next day, but the next day, she said she felt how she described it. It was though, like literally, like this fog had been lifted, like this weight had been like lifted off. It gives me chills now, actually, just even speaking about it, because I'm remembering the
Mhm.
situation. Like this weight had been, this heavy, heavy weight had been lifted. And even though, of course, she was still sad, she didn't feel like, she felt like she was being suffocated with that grief. And she didn't feel that way anymore. It had lifted, it had moved. I knew this with the energy
Right.
that was surrounding her heart felt suffocating, and it had lifted. And she was so grateful. And guess what? This is what happens. And I see this all the time, Jenny. Made a believer out of her, right? Because
Yeah.
from that point on, well, we've done lots of Reiki since then, lots of Reiki, because I do feel, and I say this a lot to people, it's the kind of thing that you have to experience it yourself to
Yeah.
actually understand the power of it. Because we could talk about Reiki and energy healing all day long, and I could, but until you actually experience it, that's what makes that undeniable belief that there is really something here that is healing. And so I witness that a lot, and it's a beautiful place where people
Mm.
have their first Reiki experience, and it opens their eyes, and they come back for more. And I love it. I love that because it's showing people that there's more out there than just your traditional things. There are other things that you can do to help yourself. So that story speaks to me, but there have been so many others, so many
Yeah.
others.
Yeah. No. And I think it's so important for people to um, be aware of what their options are. Right.
Yes.
I have another podcast, a newer one that I just started late last year.
Nice.
It's called What You Need to Grow. And one of the things, I mean, the whole show is about the intersection of personal growth and business growth. And
Mm,
one of the things I said in the welcome episode, the very first episode, is the reason I'm putting this out there is because in all the time I've been doing this podcast, Badass Direct Sales Mastery, and in business, since 2010, what I've learned is somebody's business is never going to outgrow them.
Ooh, I like that. I like
Right.
that.
And so
Mhm.
there are probably some people who are listening to this going, Jenny, this is a direct sales business podcast. What are you doing talking about healing and da da da? And I'm
Right,
like,
right.
if your business has not been growing, and I'm speaking to the badass crew right now,
Yes,
if your
yes.
business has not been growing, it's probably because you haven't grown. You've hit
Ooh,
a place in your life, a blockage, an obstacle, excuse me, that you can't see.
yes,
You feel it, you sense it.
yes.
You're like, there's something going on here. I don't know what it is. I don't know how to get past it. And it's not a business problem. It's
It's a personal
it's a personal thing,
problem.
right?
Oh, I
There's
love that. I
something
love
in there,
that.
right? Because anytime I've now learned because of 15 years of being in business and
Sure,
going on this
sure.
personal journey
Yes,
that anytime my business felt stuck, it wasn't the business. It was Jenny because I
yes,
am my business and I are very intertwined, right? I'm
yes.
not going to say my business is me because I can eventually sell this business.
Right, of course, but it's a part of who it's a
Right.
part of you, of course, of
Yeah. So,
course.
I just wanted to help point out to the person who may be listening to this going, why are we having this conversation right now?
Yeah,
Right.
no, I love that. And I love you explaining that and making that connection. And I 1,000% agree with you. And may I give an
Yeah.
example of that as well, of
Please.
how that?
Yeah.
So the same for me. So I've been in business, I have my own private practice and I've been in business 5 years now. And last year, I kind of hit a point where, yeah, things were a little, I mean, I've been consistently growing, which has been of course, my intention each year. But I did come to a point where things kind of felt business wise, as far as clients coming in, a little stagnant. And I also, at this point in my life, I know to like kind of intuitively go into, okay, what's going on here? Well, yeah, the space where I was, where my studio was kind of a dying space. People were leaving. It was very this,
Mm,
that, the people that were still there. It didn't feel right. And I also, in my own personal life, there were other things going on that I felt kind of stuck. Right.
yeah.
And so it's interesting that you say that because it's absolutely connected. So if I'm feeling stuck personally at whatever, like not growing or there's something holding me back, of course that's going to affect my business, right? So, but sometimes we don't make that connection immediately. So what happened? I said, no, I'm going to stay here because I'm just going to stay here. I didn't want to move. I was like, oh, I can't be bothered moving. It's such a pain in the butt. And it was like, no, I'm just going to stay here. But what? I was choosing to stay stuck, right? Well, what
Yeah.
happens? I believe whatever you believe, God, the universe, your higher power. Well, someone else said, you know what, Deanna, no, you can't stay here stuck. So what happens was that we got booted out of the building. The lease ended. It wasn't my decision. And it's like, yep, your time is up here. But I knew immediately, I'm like, okay, there's a reason I need to leave here for my business. It wasn't just about a physical move. It was like, I knew even before I moved one thing of furniture, it was like, I am going to be so much busier and prosperous in this new space because I just knew it. And what happened, Jenny? Moved space. Yes, moving is a pain in the butt for sure. No doubt about it.
Mhm.
Okay, it's the kind of thing, rip off the band-aid. Once you do it, you're happy. I have been so much busier this past year because the energy of where I am now is amazing. It's wonderful. It's light. It's happy. And the things that I was personally struggling with have lifted as well. So it's all connected. So
Yeah.
I agree with you so much. And yes, you're right. I just giving another example of that connection of whatever you're struggling with personally is naturally going to affect your business if you're a business owner. So making that connection, and I believe there's a direct relationship. The more work you do on yourself, the
Yeah.
more not only for your business but for your family, your relationships, like the stronger you will be. So I look at it that way. I strive every day to be a better version of myself than I was yesterday because the personal growth piece is so important for business, family, love, relationships, everything.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It, and one thing, and for any of the longtime badass crew who've been listening to this, like if they've heard all 360 episodes, they've heard me say this a lot, which is it is my personal belief that if someone is hearing this, this message was meant for them. right?
Absolutely.
There's something in this episode that was meant for them to hear. And oh my gosh, I just felt so many
Absolutely.
people go, ah, shit, she's calling me out. Like
Right.
I
She's
literally
talking
just
right
felt,
to me.
yeah,
Right.
I'm feeling the energy right now of all these people going, dang it,
Yeah.
that's
Yes.
me. I've been the one who's stuck, not
Yes.
my business. And this was
Yes.
the message that was meant for me
Ooh,
today.
I just got chills. That was
Right.
awesome.
Right. Like,
Awesome.
and what I've learned, because I interviewed a gentleman on the show a couple of years ago. His name is Shiraz Babu, and he's an energetic worker.
Okay.
And when he and I started working together, he opened up something in me to where now, before I get on an episode
Hmm.
to record these episodes, I connect to my audience.
I love that.
And so I can literally feel when they have these like shifts and aha moments, because it's like,
I I
that
love
was not
that.
my shift. That was someone else's
Yeah.
shift, you
Yeah.
know?
I love that.
And so there's obviously people who were meant to hear this today, right?
Yes.
And even though there's nobody here but you and me right now in the moment that we're recording this,
Yes.
they are, this message was meant for someone. And I love that so much.
Yes.
And
Yes. Can I say I was going to say,
yeah,
can I say
please.
one more thing on
Yeah,
that?
please do.
Because I think this is something that's also in my world recently, as far as relating with business. I think when someone is also trying to scale their business, when they're trying to increase and grow and really branch out with their business, a lot of the issues or obstacles are absolutely based personally in whether it's limited beliefs of themselves of, am I worthy, am I even, who am I to think I could grow this big business? And it typically it's an internal, like pieces of imposter syndrome, like all of those things when you're scaling a business come up, and those are personal things that need to be dealt with in order to be able to grow your business. So I just wanted to make that
Yeah.
note too.
Yeah. No, abs- absolutely right. Oh my gosh. And you and I know, could continue talking about this
Yes.
forever.
I know you have a time limit
Right.
on your podcast. Yes.
Well, yeah. Well, and here's the thing, it doesn't mean that we're done talking. It just means we're done talking today, right?
Yes.
But before we go, I wanted to say that, one of the things I always like to know is if the guest has something for the listener, and you have a great offering for
Yes.
anybody who's listening right now who is interested and says, "Oh my gosh, yes, this is something that was meant for me. I want to know
Hmm.
more. I'm ready to
Hmm.
move past this." So what is it that you have to offer
Yes.
for the badass crew?
Perfect. Yes. So I have a coupon code that if you were to book a virtual session, and I do want to speak about that, the code is badass, right? BADASS, keeping
Mhm.
on point in the theme. And it's for a 10% discount on any of my services. So if you are local to, I sit in Charlotte, North Carolina. If you are local in the area, that could, of course, be for a massage, which you do need to be present, physically present for that. However, if you are not local to Charlotte, we can do Reiki energy healing or intuitive coaching virtually. Those are both things that can be done virtually. And two things I want to note on that. A
Uh-huh.
lot of times people think, oh, well, is it for Reiki? Is it as effective as it would be in person? Absolutely. I get it.
Yeah.
I'm a people person. I like to be in person, even when I, meet people and do things and networking. I get that piece, but the power of Reiki, it's the same. It's not that,
Yeah.
oh, if I do it virtually, it's not going to have the same effect. I've done it many times, and again, that is the effect is still the same. And then just to speak super quickly on the intuitive coaching piece. So my style of coaching, and there's lots of people that are coaches, of course, and some people specify business coaching or relationship coaching, that kind of thing. For me, incorporated in my business, it's more, I call it like intuitive coaching or transformational coaching, because my approach is to really kind of from a spiritual basis, like get to someone to connect to themselves, to their heart, their spirit, to figure out whatever the obstacle is that they're trying to get past, to really kind of like I kind of help them find those answers that are already within inside of them, rather than we're always looking for answers outside externally. I have a problem, right? I'm going to ask my friends, I'm going to ask my coworkers, what do I do? The answers are not out there. They're actually within us. And it sounds cliche, but it is the truth. So I
Yeah.
offer that space. It's a quiet space and a loving, compassionate space to kind of work through and talk through some of those things, to really get to the heart, again, to the root cause, but get to the heart of what is the actual issue and what can you do to get past it. So it's a very intuitive type approach.
Ah, love that. And I think that's an important piece because when coaching comes off as cookie cutter,
Right.
right? Then people feel that. They feel that there's, obviously this is not something that was just for me. It was
Right.
that's the
Sure.
same process that somebody's
Sure.
going through, So to have that very personalized custom piece of it being intuitive based on the person who's sitting across from you, whether it's on Zoom, phone,
Mm-hmm.
whatever,
Mm-hmm.
is incredibly powerful. So Deanna,
Absolutely.
thank you so much. Oh, before we go, I got to let everybody know. Okay,
Yes.
so here's how you grab that gift,
Oh,
right? So
yes.
if somebody is listening and
That's
they're like,
important.
yeah, and they're like, wait a minute, I what do I do? What do I do? Well, of course, my badass crew knows. Check the show notes, the episode notes. The
Sure.
link is there with the coupon code. We're all set. And sometime soon, depending on when somebody's listening to this episode, you may even be able to get into the gift vault for Badass Direct Sales Mastery, where we have every gift from every guest for all 300 and something episodes, as long as links are still working and people are still doing business in that arena. Cause I've been
That's so
doing this for
cool.
7 years now.
Wow.
So
That's so cool.
yeah. So, if somebody's listening to this and it's their first time and they're like, wait, how do I get to the show notes? What do I like? I don't know what that
Right.
is, but I want this thing. Here's what you're
Sure.
going to do. As long as you're not driving, grab your phone because most people listen to podcasts through their phone. Grab your
Yes.
phone, click on today's episode and scroll under Deanna's picture. And there you will see the episode notes and you can grab the link, grab the coupon code, and go pick the service that you want and get that 10% off with coupon code BADASS.
Yes,
All one word.
absolutely. And just, I was going to say the best way to connect with me or to book a session is directly through my website, which is www.healinghandsbydeanna.com. And all of my services are listed there. That's where you would purchase and use the coupon code. But it also gives a lot of descriptions about all the different things that I do and how I help. And I would love to help any of your audience, Jenny. I would be honored to help.
Awesome. Very good. Well, I've got that link now ready to go. It will be in the show notes. So that way, anybody who's interested in taking that next step and saying, what is my blockage? What is this thing? What is
Yes.
this Reiki? I want to try this Reiki. Or
Yes.
if you're local to the Charlotte area,
Yes.
girl, go get you a massage.
Right. Exactly. And the final thing I want to say is just that, be curious, right? Most people are scared of things they don't know or have never tried. But I agree, like, come from a place of curiosity. Like, I don't know, I've never tried Reiki. I'm curious to try. That's all you need. That's all you need. Open heart, open mind to try something new.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. All right, badass crew. You guys all know how this goes. Let's start with gratitude for Deanna. So if you are feeling gratitude for anything, messages, thoughts that came to you, please give them out to Deanna and make sure you actually not only just feel it, but send it to her. We have her contact links in the show notes. Send her a message. Let her know that she helped touch your heart today, because gratitude is the first most highest frequency that we can put out there. And so please let Deanna know that whatever she said, whatever she, brought out in you was helpful for you. So please send that out to her. So Deanna, thank you for being here.
Thank you. And on that gratitude piece, thank you, Jenny, for having me, for the opportunity. And thank you to your audience for listening. It was a pleasure and honor to be here. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much. And of course, badass crew, thank you for being here. And stay tuned, because there's another badass episode on its way.
Thanks for listening to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jenny Bellinger. Why are you waiting to go to badassdirectsalesmastery.com? Don't make the dom get her whip. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with another rock star that you know in direct sales after you subscribe to the podcast so you won't miss any future episodes. You can also check out the show notes for links and any contact information mentioned in today's episode. We'll see you next time.